The hospital room smelled of antiseptic and fear. Maya clutched her swollen belly, sweat beading on her forehead as another contraction tore through her body. "Please, Ethan, stop," she whimpered, voice trembling with both pain and disbelief. But Ethan's eyes were cold, void of the warmth they once carried. His hand, instead of holding hers, struck her across the face. "You think you can trap me with this baby?" he spat, rage echoing off the white walls. The nurse's alarmed voice in the hallway went unheard as Maya's body went limp, the world fading into a haze of agony and betrayal. When she woke up hours later, the room was silent, too silent. Her trembling hands reached for her stomach, empty now. The doctor's pitying eyes told her everything before he spoke. "I am sorry, Maya." The baby didn't make it. The world collapsed around her. Tears streamed down her face. But beneath them, something darker began to stir, a quiet, burning resolve. Ethan had taken everything from her, but she would rise. And when she did, she'd make him regret the day he ever raised his hand against her. Months passed. Maya vanished from Ethan's life as if swallowed by the earth. He thought she was broken, gone forever. He remarried quickly to a younger woman named Clara, flaunting his new life on social media, pretending he hadn't buried his sins under expensive suits and stage smiles. But fate had its own script. One evening, at a charity gala hosted by Ethan's company, the crowd gasped when a stunning woman in an elegant black gown stepped into the hall. Her presence commanded silence. Confidence rolled off her like perfume. Ethan froze, his glass slipping from his hand. "Maya," he whispered, barely audible. She smiled, a cold, haunting smile that made his blood run cold. "Miss me, darling?" No one in the room knew that the new investor backing Ethan's company was her. After she left, Maya had rebuilt herself, smarter, stronger, and wealthier than ever. A mysterious entrepreneur had funded her business dreams, seeing potential where Ethan saw weakness. Now, she was back, not for love, but for justice. Over the next few weeks, strange things began happening. Ethan's company accounts bled money. His investors withdrew. Clara received anonymous messages, photos, videos, proof of Ethan's violent past. One night, as the tension reached its breaking point, Clara confronted him. "Did you really do this to her?" she screamed, tears streaming down her cheeks. "You beat your wife? Your own unborn child?" Ethan's face twisted. "Who told you that?" The lights flickered, and from the doorway, Maya appeared. "I did." He staggered back as if he'd seen a ghost. You're supposed to be..." "Broken?" she interrupted, stepping closer. "No, Ethan, you broke my body, not my spirit. You killed our child, but you gave birth to something else, something far more dangerous." She slid a folder onto the table. Bank statements, witness testimonies, police reports, and signed confessions from his business partners. Everything that could destroy him in one move. Ethan lunged toward her, but before he could reach, Clara slapped him hard across the face. "You disgust me," she hissed and stormed out. Security arrived moments later. Maya turned to them calmly. "I believe Mr. Ethan Brooks is wanted for embezzlement, tax fraud, and maybe something far worse." As they handcuffed him, Ethan's furious eyes met hers. "You'll regret this." Maya leaned in close, her whisper colder than winter steel. "I already did. Once." As he was dragged away, flashes from the press cameras lit up the room. Maya stood tall, unflinching, watching the man who once destroyed her life fall piece by piece. But deep down, she knew this wasn't the end, because power, once tasted, had its own price. And as she walked out into the night, the wind whispered something she hadn't felt in years. Freedom mixed with danger. For revenge, once begun, never truly ends. The night air was thick with the scent of rain and justice. Maya stepped outside the gala hall, the cool breeze brushing against her skin like a long-forgotten comfort. Flashes still exploded behind her as reporters shouted questions, but she didn't turn back. Her heels clicked against the marble steps, each step a reminder that she wasn't the same woman who had once begged for mercy in a hospital room. Her driver opened the car door, but she paused before entering. Across the street, a man leaned against a black car, watching her. He wore a dark coat, his face half hidden beneath the streetlight. When she met his eyes, he nodded once, subtle but meaningful. It was Leon, the same man who had found her years ago, bleeding and lost, outside a cheap motel after she fled Ethan's house. A private investigator then, now her silent partner, and the only person she truly trusted. "Is it done?" he asked as she slid into the back seat. She nodded, her eyes distant. "He's in custody. But that's just the beginning." Leon's gaze flickered in the rearview mirror. "You sure you want to keep going, Maya? You've already won. He's ruined." Her fingers traced a faint scar on her wrist, the one Ethan had left behind. "Winning isn't enough," she said quietly. "He needs to feel it. Every loss. Every humiliation. Just like I did." Leon didn't reply, but his jaw tightened. He knew that look in her eyes. Revenge had given her strength, but it also had a way of chaining her heart to the past. 2 days later, headlines exploded across the media. Ethan Brooks, respected CEO, arrested for fraud and domestic abuse allegations. The story spread like wildfire. Sponsors pulled out, clients vanished, and the once celebrated businessman became a public disgrace overnight. But what the media didn't know was that someone was feeding them everything. Timed leaks, perfectly crafted narratives, all orchestrated by Maya from behind the scenes. She sat in her penthouse office, walls of glass overlooking the city. Her company, Arden Industries, was thriving. Every phone call, every investor she met, was a move in her quiet war against him. Yet despite her success, her nights were restless. Sometimes she woke up drenched in sweat, hearing the echoes of his voice, the slap of his hand, the shrill monitor beeping as her baby's heartbeat faded away. She poured herself a glass of wine and looked at the reflection in the window. Strong, beautiful, untouchable. But her eyes betrayed her. There was pain there, buried under layers of power and poise. Her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "He's out on bail." Maya's heart stopped. Leon called seconds later. "I was about to tell you. Someone posted his bail this morning. A private benefactor, anonymous. He's lying low, but he's not out of the game." "Find out who," she said, her tone calm but deadly. "I'm already on it." That night, as rain drummed against the city, Maya drove alone through quiet streets, memories pressing against her like ghosts. She parked outside a small cemetery, umbrella in hand. Her heels sank slightly into the soft earth as she approached a modest gravestone, a small marble marker with a single engraved word, "Angel." She knelt, rain soaking her hair, and placed white lilies on the grave. Her fingers brushed the cold stone. "He's paying, my love," she whispered, "but I don't know if it'll ever be enough." A distant thunder rumbled as if in response. She stayed there a long time, until the rain became a downpour, washing the makeup from her face, but not the memories from her soul. The next morning, Leon arrived at her office, his expression grave. "You won't like this." He dropped a folder on her desk. Inside were photographs. Ethan in a small cafe, meeting with a man Maya recognized instantly. Her breath hitched. "Richard Hale," she muttered, her former attorney, the one who had lost her case filed years ago when she tried to press charges. "They're working together," Leon said. "Looks like Ethan's trying to rebuild. Maybe even come after you legally." Maya's eyes darkened. "He thinks he can use the same lawyer who betrayed me protect him? Not this time." She leaned back in her chair, mind racing. "If he wants to play dirty, I'll remind him who taught me the rules." Within days, she had Richard's accounts frozen under suspicion of corruption, courtesy of a few well-timed emails and documents Leon found linking him to shady offshore dealings. Ethan, now desperate and cornered, started showing up at her building, trying to talk his way in. The guards turned him away every time, but one evening, as she left her office, he was waiting near her car. "Maya, please listen to me," he said, voice trembling. The arrogance was gone, replaced by something else. Fear. She didn't flinch. "You have 3 seconds to step back before I call security." He took a step closer, anyway. "I lost everything. My company, my wife, my home. You wanted revenge. You got it. What more do you want from me?" She stared at him, eyes cold as glass. "You took my child," she said softly. "Do you think bankruptcy compares to that?" His face contorted, pain mixed with fury. "It was a mistake. I was angry. Asterisk, you were a monster. Asterisk." Her voice echoed through the parking lot. Ethan flinched, his hands shaking. "I've been paying every day since then. I see your face in my dreams. I hear the baby crying. You think this is easy for me?" "Good," she whispered. "Then it's working." Before he could speak again, Leon appeared from the shadows, stepping between them. "You should go, Mr. Brooks." "Before I forget, I'm not a violent man." Ethan's jaw tightened, but he turned and walked away, disappearing into the night. Maya stood there, her heart pounding, but something inside her cracked a little. For the first time, she saw not the devil who destroyed her, but a broken man crushed beneath his own guilt. That night, she couldn't sleep. The rain returned, tapping against her windows like a heartbeat. She poured another glass of wine, her reflection wavering in the glass. Revenge had tasted sweet at first, but now it was starting to feel bitter. Still, she couldn't stop. Not yet. Leon entered quietly, tossing a file onto the table. "You should see this." She opened it and froze. Inside were photos of Ethan's new home, empty, messy, reeking of loneliness. Bills piled up. The man who once owned a mansion now rented a crumbling apartment in the outskirts. But one photo caught her attention, a small, worn teddy bear sitting on the windowsill. The same bear she bought years ago for their unborn baby. "How did he?" she began. Leon shrugged. "Maybe he kept it. Maybe guilt's his new god." She stared at the image for a long time, silent. Her breath grew shallow. For a brief second, she felt something she hadn't allowed herself to feel in years. Pity. But before the thought could settle, Leon's phone rang. He answered, frowned, then handed it to her. "It's him," he said. Maya hesitated, then took the phone. "What do you want, Ethan?" His voice was hoarse. "Meet me one last time. There's something you need to know." She almost hung up, but something in his tone stopped her. It wasn't anger this time. It was desperation. "Where?" she asked quietly. He gave her an address, a place outside the city. After she hung up, Leon looked at her sharply. "You can't go alone. It could be a trap." "I know," she said, her eyes fixed on the rain-streaked window. "But if he's lying, I'll finish what I started." The city lights flickered below as she stood, slipping on her coat. Her heart pounded with equal parts dread and curiosity, because deep down, she knew this wasn't over. And whatever Ethan had to tell her next could change everything. The night was darker than usual, the moon veiled behind restless clouds as Maya's car rolled down the lonely, rain-soaked road. The wipers beat in rhythm with her heart, each swipe clearing her blurred reflection from the glass. She could feel something tightening in the air, a quiet sense of destiny waiting at the end of this road. She stopped in front of an abandoned farmhouse, the same one they had once talked about buying when they were young and in love, before dreams turned into bruises. Its roof sagged, the paint peeled, and the door hung loosely on one hinge. A dim light flickered from inside. Maya stepped out of the car, the gravel crunching under her heels, the wind tugging at her coat. Leon had insisted on following her in the second car, parked a distance away, watching over silently. She pushed open the creaking door, and there he was, Ethan. He looked nothing like the man she remembered. His suit was wrinkled, his eyes hollow, and his once confident posture was now bent beneath invisible weight. A bottle sat half empty beside him, paper scattered across a dusty table. "Maya," he said softly, as if the name itself hurt. "You came." "I'm here," she replied coldly. "Now tell me why." He gestured for her to sit. She didn't. Instead, she stood there, arms crossed, her presence commanding the room like a shadow of justice itself. "I didn't ask you here to beg for forgiveness," he began, his voice trembling. "I know that's something I'll never deserve. I just need you to understand what happened that night." Her jaw tightened. "I remember exactly what happened." He shook his head. "No, you remember what you saw. Not what I felt. Not what I lost." She laughed bitterly. "What you lost. You beat me until I lost our baby, Ethan. You murdered our child. His eyes glistened with tears, and for a moment, she almost didn't recognize him. You think I don't relive that every night? You think I sleep? I see his face, our son's face, every time I close my eyes. You think I wanted this? Maya's voice cracked like ice. You wanted control. You wanted me afraid. He slammed his fist against the table, the bottle tipping over. I was afraid. I was losing everything, my job, my sanity, my family name. And you were glowing, happy, strong. I thought you didn't need me anymore. I lost myself, Maya. I let the anger win. The room fell silent, filled only by the sound of rain beating on the roof. Maya's heart twisted painfully. She had spent years imagining this moment, his confession, his downfall. Yet hearing him broken didn't bring the satisfaction she expected. "Why call me now?" she finally asked. "You've already lost everything." He reached into a folder and slid a piece of paper toward her. She hesitated before picking it up. It was a deed, transferring the ownership of his remaining assets, including the very company he built, to her name. "I've been diagnosed," he said quietly. "Liver failure. The doctors give me months, maybe weeks. I didn't want to die without doing something right." Her eyes darted to his trembling hands, the yellow tint in his skin she hadn't noticed before. "So now you want redemption?" He shook his head weakly. "No, I want peace. For both of us." For the first time in years, Maya felt her throat tighten with emotion. This wasn't the man who had terrorized her. This was a ghost of him, haunted, fragile, undone. "I hated you," she whispered, her voice shaking. "I built my entire life around that hate. It made me strong." "I know," he murmured, "and it worked. You became everything I wasn't brave enough to be." Tears blurred her vision. "Then why do I still feel empty?" He smiled faintly. "Because hate and love, they're both prisons. You've just been in a prettier one." Maya turned away, her breath catching. She wanted to scream at him, to curse him for daring to speak about love after what he'd done. But when she looked back, his body had slumped slightly, his breathing shallow. The whiskey bottle rolled off the table and shattered on the floor. "Ethan," she whispered. No response. She rushed forward, shaking him, but his head lolled back, eyes half open. Panic surged through her chest. "Ethan!" Leon burst through the door moments later, his gun drawn until he saw the scene. He checked for a pulse. Nothing. "He's gone," Leon said softly. Maya staggered back, her hands trembling. She stared at Ethan's lifeless form, the silence in the room deafening. The man who had caused her so much pain was gone, not destroyed by her revenge, but by his own guilt and time. She fell to her knees, tears streaming freely now. "Why does it still hurt?" she whispered. "Why does it still feel like I lost?" Leon knelt beside her, resting a steady hand on her shoulder. Because closure isn't always about seeing them suffer. Sometimes it's realizing there's nothing left to fight. The rain outside softened into a drizzle, as if the sky itself had run out of tears. Maya sat there for a long time, staring at the man who had once been her entire world, and her greatest nightmare. There was no triumph, no applause, no cinematic ending. Just silence and the slow, quiet unraveling of years of hatred. By morning, the police arrived, paperwork was filed, and Ethan's body was taken away. The media would spin their own version of the story. Fallen CEO found dead in an abandoned farmhouse, a tragic end to a once great man. But Maya would never tell them what really happened that night. Some truths were meant to stay buried. Days turned into weeks. The city moved on, and so did she, or at least she tried to. She visited the small cemetery again, the one where her baby rested. This time, she carried no flowers, no tears, just peace. She knelt before the grave, brushing away the fallen leaves. "It's over," she whispered. "Daddy's gone, and Mommy's finally free." A soft breeze rustled through the trees, carrying with it the faint scent of rain and lilies. She closed her eyes, imagining her child smiling somewhere in a place untouched by pain. When she stood again, she didn't look back. The sun was rising, painting the sky in gold and amber. For the first time in years, The light didn't hurt her eyes. She walked to her car, where Leon waited, leaning against the hood, arms folded. "You okay?" he asked quietly. Maya smiled, a real one, small but genuine. For the first time, yes. He studied her face, searching for cracks but found none. "So what now?" She took a deep breath, the crisp air filling her lungs. "Now I live. Not for revenge, not for survival, just for me." They drove off in silence, the road stretching endlessly ahead. The city skyline glowed in the distance, alive and beautiful. As they merged into the traffic, Maya looked out the window one last time at the fading horizon. Her mind wandered, not to the pain, not to the man who destroyed her, but to the woman she became because of it all. A survivor, a storm, a woman reborn from her own ashes. And though the scars would always remain, they no longer defined her. They were proof she had lived through hell and built an empire from its ruins. Somewhere in the fading light, she could almost hear a small voice, a whisper, soft as the wind, calling her mommy. Her eyes filled, but this time not with sorrow. She smiled toward the sky. "I'm free now, my love." As the car disappeared down the golden road, the last rays of sun fell across the world that had once broken her. But Maya was no longer broken. She was fire, untamed, unstoppable, eternal. And this time, her story wasn't about revenge. It was about resurrection.